I've seen you and Andre as well present the really good work that you've done around gender pay analysis. It'd be great, I think, for the listeners who haven't been to some of those conferences really to just hear a little bit about what you've achieved there.
Sure. I think this project it's probably one of the more exciting things that we've worked on, purely because it's not analytics for analytics' sake, and it's not analytics for creating a justification for something or a dashboard. It's responding to a really key business initiative that our CEO made statements at the United Nations and the International Labour Organization, saying that at Nestlé we're taking diversity and inclusion really seriously, and something that we really want to focus on is understanding and improving the way that we remunerate our employees, men and women, which I think is a huge statement for Nestlé to make. We're a big production company, right? We create food and beverages, and that means that we have lots of factories and distribution centers, and traditionally that's a male-oriented workforce. So I think it's a really exciting thing that we've been able to support analytically, because making those statements externally that we will understand the way we remunerate people and seek to improve that means that everywhere in the world has to be able to measure pay gap and measure pay equity. And so, yeah, it felt to us to enable the business to do this. And so we built a pretty slick tool. One of our IO psychologists built a pretty simple stepwise regression in R is the statistical package we use, and then built a front end in Shiny that is basically built to enable someone that isn't an analytics bod to measure something statistically and present it back to their leadership team in a way that helps the leadership team make decisions. So it's kind of very step by step, look for these elements of data in your local HR system, download them, put them into this Excel structure, make sure that there are no gaps, make sure there are no blanks, make sure that the date format is this, load it up, and then it steps through the regression model. And then at the end, it shows you, how strong your relationship is, whether the gap is systemic or not, whether the gap is just in particular pockets, and then kind of guides you through what the interpretation of all of the charts that the tool spits out are as well. So when an HR business partner or a reward manager who isn't necessarily statistically trained is having these discussions with the head of HR and with their ManCom, they can really confidently be saying, here is the way that our pay looks in terms of men and women, and that gap or that lack of gap is either across the board or it's not. And that means the strategies that we need to be thinking about to correct these things is either systemic or point. And then when we cost these things out, we can then start to talk about the impact of executing strategy X to level out our pay equity lines. I think it's a really powerful demonstration of the fact that you approaching these problems in an analytical way enables non-analytics people to really have genuine impact, both on the business, given that this is a real business initiative, but on people. And I think particularly in the people analytics world, where many of us employ psychologists, having a real impact on people's lives is absolutely something that is intrinsic to what we want to do, not just within HR, but because a lot of us are psychologists. I think it's been a really great project, both for Nestlé, but my team as well. Lots of hard work,
I bet,
and lots of heavy lifting, and lots of horrible data cleansing and all of that sort of stuff. But fundamentally, the sort of project that we want to be involved in.
And I guess the great thing about it, because it's obviously quite high profile, it's a topic that's come right from the top within the organisation. It raises the profile of people analytics as well. Exactly.
And I think it calls into relief that people analytics isn't this mystery shrouded in mystique. It's an approach to problem solving that we worked directly in partnership with our diversity and inclusion group and with our reward group, and that together we've made something that could have been a problem for one or the other of those groups to tackle much simpler and much more straightforward, because you're applying that science and rigor that an analytics group brings to a topic that mean, it's not particularly esoteric, but a topic that could have been very, very difficult for one or the other of those groups to solve. So I think in terms of raising the profile of people analytics, it's not that people analytics has delivered we're not the knight in shining armor saving women's salaries everywhere. It's that we're intrinsically a partner to other parts of HR and other parts of the business, because we can help them do things better, faster, smarter.
In this series, we will be speaking to a range of senior leaders who are pushing a data-driven and digital HR agenda. Make sure that you subscribe via your podcast app of choice and also via our YouTube channel for free and regular interviews with the digital HR leaders of the future.